I thought I was teaching my younger brother how to survive a ruthless world. Instead, I accidentally created the monster that would ultimately destroy my life. And the truly shocking part? It all started when I betrayed him by falling in love with his fiancée. You have to understand the kind of person my brother, Jake, used to be. The level of kindness he operated with, it wasn't learned, it was just him. I was so proud watching him grow. I knew his heart. I understood it deeply. I think about this moment from our childhood all the time. He found an injured bird on the sidewalk, picked it up so carefully, holding it like something fragile and important. He did everything he could to save it: warmth, water, quiet. But the bird didn't make it. We buried it together under a tree, just the two of us. That's who he was, someone who cared, someone who tried, even when the outcome was hopeless. Studying came easy to me. I just picked things up. But for Jake, it took work, long nights, repetition, real, gut-wrenching effort. That was his strength, though, not talent, but pure, relentless tenacity. I mentored him, not by doing the work for him, but by showing him how to break down the concepts, the way I did. I wanted him to succeed. And he did. We weren't competitive. Our bond was special. People were genuinely jealous of it. We pushed each other upward. By our 20s, I was already navigating the corporate world, seeing how cold and manipulative people could be. I saw how easily his genuine empathy could be exploited. I didn't want the world to break him, so I started mentoring him more seriously, teaching him how to protect himself. He learned so fast. He sharpened his mind, understanding intent behind the words, not just the information. His confidence soared. I was so proud, truly proud. Things got busy, but it was a good kind of busy, at least at first. Jake had taken everything I taught him, but he filtered it through his own gentleness. That same empathy and patience became his biggest business strength. He could negotiate and read people without becoming ruthless. He didn't have to be, and that's why people respected him. We talked all the time, weekly calls, late nights. I could hear the shift in his voice, the confidence, the certainty. It felt like watching someone I loved become exactly who they were meant to be. And then he met Emily. I remember him telling me, his voice lighter, brighter. When I met her, I understood why. She was incredible, smart, warm, grounded. She made people comfortable effortlessly, with a smile that wasn't forced and a laugh that didn't need an audience. I liked her instantly, not just for him, but because she was genuinely good. We'd hang out, the three of us, and it was easy. No tension. Jake was the happiest I had ever seen him. I bragged about them, about how he'd finally found someone who truly matched him, someone who wouldn't take advantage of his kindness. I told everyone they were perfect. But then the comments started. Soft at first. Casual, almost like jokes, but they carried a real weight. You and Emily seem close. You talk about her a lot. I laughed it off every single time. I was just proud, right? They didn't understand the depth of our bond. Everything was steady, clear, hopeful. Just life continuing on. A couple of years passed. Jake was thriving, even surpassing me financially, and I wasn't bitter for a second. Everything I had poured into him was manifesting. He was strong, capable, and still held on to that gentleness that made him different. Then came the news. He was going to propose. He called me first, out of instinct, his voice thick with nerves and excitement. We planned it all with Emily's family. It was set by the lake, evening, warm strings of lights wrapped around the trees along the dock. It was beautiful, tasteful, something out of a movie, but it felt real because of how much effort we all put in. He was so nervous, pacing, adjusting his collar. I told him to breathe, joked that he looked like he was about to deliver a speech to a board of directors. Then he knelt. The world seemed to hold its breath. A few seconds felt like an hour. She smiled and she said, "Yes." Everyone cheered. Joy echoed everywhere. But right in the middle of the celebration, I felt a strange tightness in my stomach. A knot. Not dread, not sadness, just something I couldn't name. I pushed it down. I told myself it was just emotional overwhelm. But my girlfriend noticed. She gave me this quiet, knowing look. Then I saw Emily. She was standing apart, just staring at the ring. Thoughtful. I went over and asked if she was okay. She didn't answer right away. Finally, she smiled and said she was just taking it all in. Her voice was steady, but there was a private, heavy quality underneath it. Jake was floating. Completely happy. Completely sure. And I told myself that was what mattered. I didn't question anything further. By the way, if you're still with me and already leaning in, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I promise, the worst is yet to come, and more unbelievable stories are on the way. About a month after the engagement, something in me shifted. I couldn't see it, but my girlfriend did. She confronted me one night with the calmest, most devastating tone I had ever heard. She told me she refused to be someone's second choice. She left just like that. No yelling, no accusations. Just quiet, honest resignation. I watched her go, and I couldn't chase her. I didn't know what to say. I felt the heartbreak, but something else, too. Something inside me had been exposed, and I couldn't cover it up again. Jake stopped by. He listened, he didn't judge. He told me he was there for me. I believed him. Emily started stopping by, too. Not for anything dramatic. Just to bring food, to check in. She made things feel lighter, easier, comforting. I told myself she was just being kind. But then there was that one day. She was in my kitchen, quiet, just looking down at her hands. We didn't talk, not really. The silence was heavy, but it was warm, like something had finally surfaced. We didn't plan it. We didn't discuss it. We just gravitated toward each other. It happened quickly, without hesitation. A line was crossed, a line we had both been avoiding for years without admitting it. Afterwards, she cried. Not the dramatic kind, just quiet, painful tears. She apologized. I apologized. Then she said the words that broke my world. She said that when Jake proposed, something inside her had broken because that was the moment she realized she had chosen the wrong brother. She hated herself for it. I understood every single word. I felt the same way, even if I hadn't said it out loud. She tried to leave, but I stopped her. I told her we could figure something out. I don't know if it was selfishness or the truth finally showing itself, but I meant it. We fell into each other again, not out of passion, but because neither of us wanted to let go. It wasn't pretty. It was raw, conflicted, and full of years of everything we had been holding back. It didn't stop. The wedding date kept getting closer, and I knew I was standing on the edge of a decision that would destroy everything. The guilt became a living thing, eating us alive. I was living two lives and holding my breath in both. Around Jake, I couldn't stand to look at either of them for too long. Family members started noticing. The looks, the lingering questions. We couldn't take it anymore. Emily and I made a terrible decision. We sat down our parents and some relatives and told them everything. That we caught feelings, that it was real. Some were shocked, some were angry, but a few looked like they had been waiting for it. They agreed not to say anything. They said it had to come from me. I was still the best man. I still showed up to fittings, standing next to my brother as he talked about his future with her. I've never felt more like a liar. I eventually couldn't stand it anymore. I told him everything. Straight. No excuses. I told him I had been with Emily. I told him the feelings were already there before either of us understood it. I told him I wasn't trying to hurt him, but I did anyway. I was ready for him to hit me. I was honestly ready for him to break my jaw. But he didn't. He just looked at me, and I swear I would have preferred the physical blow. The look he gave me was just empty, like something in him was shutting down in real time. He asked how long. I told him. He asked if anyone else knew. My hesitation told him everything. He didn't yell. He didn't ask anything else. He just walked out. That same night, he posted a short, quiet announcement. No wedding. Emily went to his place to talk, and he had already thrown out everything that reminded him of her and of us. Family tried to talk to him, but when he asked if they knew, they couldn't lie, and that was it. He cut everyone off. I tried to call. I never got a reply. His lawyer contacted me instead. Years went by. We stayed married, and our son was born, a sweet, hugging, sharing kid. I was happy, mostly, but the guilt stayed, sitting in my chest, always present. I miss my brother. The stories I heard about him were terrifying. Jake didn't just become confident. He became feared. He fired people on the spot. Negotiated aggressively. The brother who cried over an injured bird was now the name people whispered about like a warning. He never came to holidays. His seat was always empty. And every time I looked at that empty space, all I could think was, I did that. I finally worked up the courage to call him. The number was still active. He answered after a couple of rings. No emotion. He gave me a location and time. The restaurant was somewhere I couldn't afford. I walked in and saw him already seated. He wasn't the person I remembered. He didn't smile. He didn't shake my hand. He just stared. And it felt like being examined, not seen. His eyes were sharp, like he was deciding if I was a threat or a waste of time. I apologized. Real. Honest. I told him I regretted hurting him. I told him I think about it all the time. He didn't blink. Then he said it with no anger, just plain, empty fact. I should thank you. You taught me not to trust anyone, not even family. That was somehow worse than any explosion. We didn't talk much more. There was nothing left to say. I walked out, and I just remember the feeling, like I had seen someone wearing my brother's face, but my brother himself was gone. Eventually, we, the family, decided we had to try a forced intervention. My uncle called him, and shockingly, Jake agreed to come. No questions. No hesitation. He walked in like he owned the space, like he was walking into a business negotiation where he was already in control. He sat down and just waited. People tried small talk. Then Jake started talking about his latest business acquisition. Casually, calmly, he mentioned he'd laid off half the workforce to streamline operations. No emotion. Then, one of our cousins who was there started crying. She used to work at that company. She'd been laid off in that exact round, and didn't even know Jake was behind it until that second. Jake didn't even flicker. My mom broke. She cried harder than I've ever seen her cry, begging him to come back, to just feel something. She cried for 10 minutes straight, and Jake just stared at her. Then something in his expression changed. Something cold, something that didn't look human anymore. He told us none of us were his family anymore. You showed me years ago that money and power mattered more than loyalty or love. You made your choice, so I made mine. My mom fell to her knees, begging to know what would bring him back. He looked down at her like she was a stranger and told her the price. Cut him off. Cut her off. Cut their child off. All of them. Every one of you. Then post publicly admitting what you did. Then we'll talk. My uncle was furious. Family doesn't do that. Jake just stared and asked, where was my family when I was the one betrayed? No one could answer. As he turned to leave, he smiled, small, sharp, and told us to look outside. Several black, non-family vehicles were parked out front. People waiting. This intervention is over. If you keep me here, there will be consequences. He walked out without looking back. The entire room fell silent. We all realized at the same moment that whatever version of Jake we had once known was gone. Completely gone. I finally understood the full, terrifying weight of what I had done to him. My marriage didn't survive. The guilt, the resentment, the exhaustion of living with the consequences. It built up until one day, we argued in front of our son. Hearing us yell, watching his little hands cover his ears. That was the moment everything collapsed. Emily left and filed for divorce. She didn't blame me. She just said falling in love with me was the biggest mistake she ever made. She needed to leave so the shadow of our betrayal wouldn't break our son. I live in a studio apartment now, working 2 minimum wage jobs. The rest of the family splintered. Some publicly confessed to supporting a cheater just to try and appease Jake. My parents sold the house and moved into a senior home. They look like they've aged years and months. They don't talk much anymore. They kept a box of Jake's childhood items for years and eventually sent it to his office. It was returned unopened. Inside, along with the box, was a picture of him holding his daughter and a note. There was no warmth in it. Just a statement. You people made a choice, and these are the consequences. You will never see your grandchildren from my side. I will teach her the real value of loyalty, not the fake values you provided. I walk around every single day knowing exactly what I did. I don't get to say I didn't know. I don't get to say I tried. I made selfish choices, and those choices didn't just destroy my life. They destroyed every life connected to mine. I am the person everyone uses as a warning. The man who stole his brother's fiancée and shattered his family in the process. Years later, Jake is a man shaped by survival, not just rage. The anger used to consume him, but it eventually became the armor he needed. He met a woman who didn't bend when his temper flared, who challenged him, not by trying to soften him, but by grounding him. When their daughter was born, something inside him loosened. He held her, and for the first time in years, the world didn't feel like something he had to conquer, but something he had to protect. He found an anchor, but the past is still sharp. He never asked for forgiveness. He only needed his former family to understand that loyalty has a cost. He accepts that if his brother hadn't betrayed him, everything might have been different. He accepts that he is a ruthless man now. But forgiveness is not something he offers, not even to himself. The wound was real. The consequences are final. And he only mourns the person he once was. I truly want to know, after hearing the full story, what would you have done differently? Have you ever had to live with a decision that cost you everything? Tell me what you think in the comments below.